Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to WYFF News 4 live coverage of the State Address by South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster. He will come into the room there, a joint session of the House and Senate, very shortly here. As we take a look there, some of the Democrats had asked the governor to do this virtually this year because of COVID-19, but clearly he is not doing that. He will give the address in the usual way. This is a tradition there in that storied old State House that dates to the Civil War. It does have cannonball marks alongside it from the Civil War, and we'll use I don't know what happened there, but we'll get back to the governor here in just a second when he comes into the room. This is an address number 3 for Governor Henry McMaster. Again, he'll give it in the usual way, COVID-19 notwithstanding. Again, it is a joint meeting of the House of Representatives and the State Senate. Often there are guests up on the mezzanine level, but we doubt we're going to see that this year. I'll be curious to see the room when we can show it to you here. There will be a Democratic response this year. Richland County Senator, Democratic Senator Mia McLeod, will give that response. In his address, the governor is going to share his priorities for the year. That is typical. He's expected to address themes in his budget requests. The governor wants lawmakers, for one thing, to set aside $500 million in a rainy day fund for a future crisis. Of course, we are going through the COVID-19 crisis right now. There is no word exactly on what has been spent on that. He wants to expand broadband internet to all areas of South Carolina, every corner of the state, and spend more on law enforcement as well. You see, if you look closely there, you'll see the members of the House and Senate in this joint session wearing masks because of COVID-19. Some alarming numbers that we had on WYFF News 4 at 6 for you tonight. 40% plus percent positive on the tests that have come back. That is very, very high, especially relative to even just a few weeks ago. Again, we are awaiting the governor's arrival there at the State House. This is the House chamber. If protocol is followed from years past, he will be introduced by the Lieutenant Governor. That is, of course, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Ebbett. And she will introduce him very, very shortly here. These speeches...
The Governor and his escort committee has arrived.
Sergeant at Arms.
Members of the Joint Assembly, please rise to receive His Excellency, the Governor, and his distinguished escort committee.
He has an escort committee, and unlike other times, other speeches, again, this is his 4th one, he's just walking right up there to the rostrum. No time for photos, no time for shaking hands, because we are in the era of COVID-19. House chambers, if you can see this, you're watching this.
Again, you saw the governor come in there very quickly relative to years past. We've seen governors spend some time glad-handing with members of the House and Senate, but not this year. No handshake. There's the fist bump.
Who just gaveled back in to the legislative session yesterday, so they are going to be hearing from the governor shortly. We're going to
These speeches usually go around 45 minutes to an hour. Again, there will be a Democratic response, and we'll give you that right after.
Ladies and gentlemen of the Joint Assembly, I am proud to present to you the Honorable Henry McMaster, Governor of South Carolina.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the General Assembly, and my fellow South Carolinians, I want to apologize in advance for my voice. It's gone somewhere, but though my voice is weak, my spirit is strong, so I'm ready. We're here tonight to address challenges and opportunities. But first, as in prior years, I'd like to recognize those in uniform whom we lost in the line of duty. Corporal Andrew J. Gillette of the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. Deputy Jeremy C. Ledoux of the Charleston County Sheriff's Office. Captain John Durham, Jr. of the Winnsboro Department of Public Safety. Private First Class Jacob S. Hencher of the Myrtle Beach Police Department. Sergeant William C. Jumper, Jr. of the Greenville County Sheriff's Office. Sergeant Gordon W. Best of the North Myrtle Beach Department of Public Safety. And First Lieutenant Travarius R. Bowman of the South Carolina National Guard. And Deputy Jonathan David Price of the Marion County Sheriff's Office. To the families and loved ones of these 8 men, with all our hearts, we offer our condolences and we are eternally grateful for their service. I'm delighted to have with us again tonight our First Lady, my bride Peggy, who's working to bring attention and energy to the areas of human trafficking, domestic violence, veterans' health, and animal care and adoption. Thank you. Peggy Jean, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Also, our Lieutenant Governor, Pamela Evett, who is meeting with businesses across the state to identify workforce and regulatory relief. She's focused on transportation, early childhood education, and the census, and it has encouraged us all to grab a bag and eliminate litter. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Please stand and be recognized. And her husband, David. And we have another special guest tonight, a man whose leadership of the United Nations World Food Program was recently recognized by award of the 2020 Nobel Peace Prize. Please join me in welcoming back to the State House Governor David Beasley and his bride, First Lady Mary Wood. Would anyone else who has won the Nobel Peace Prize please raise your hand, or any other Nobel Prize? Ladies and gentlemen, since we met last year, we have faced unprecedented challenges from a disease we did not know, the course of which has not yet run. We have experienced loss, we have suffered, but we are strong, we are resilient. And we have the commitment, capacity, and courage to thrive and prosper once again like never before. In honor and memory of those South Carolinians who will no longer brighten our hearts with their smiles, their love, and their friendship, I invite you to join me in a short prayer, if you will. God of our fathers, in this troubled season of tension and difficulty, yet a season of hope and promise, grant us wisdom and understanding to run with endurance the race before us. Let us not be disheartened by this troubled hour, but granted fresh vision to see the light from which these shadows are cast. Let us seize the hours of each day to do thy will, to go forth to lead the land we love and the people we cherish. With faith in our hearts and hope in our souls, bless us and keep us, and let your face shine upon us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. This time last year, South Carolina was roaring into 2020 with a vibrant economy, innovation, and a growing population. Our unemployment rate was 2.4%. More people were working here than ever before. Personal income growth was at an all-time high. We had added over 1 million residents in 20 years. National rankings consistently listed us as one of the best states in the country in which to do business, raise a family, or to visit. Then came the virus, with disruptions and dislocations which tested us all. But we paused, took stock, and persevered. I have never been more proud of our people than right now. From clerks, cashiers, and grocery store workers to police officers, doctors, and nurses, from linemen, farmers, and truck drivers to daycare workers, preachers, and plumbers, carpenters, and to all those who went the extra mile to help total strangers who could not help themselves, thank you. Thank you for your strength. In years past, I've heard some say, and I quote, "South Carolina is a small, poor state, and we cannot accomplish much." I hope I never hear those words again. Why? Because they're not true. Our remarkable growth and progress in years before this pandemic and our determined response to it have demonstrated to the world our strength and courage. And now it's time to act, and act boldly. South Carolina has excellent leadership, public and private, because we have great people. We have not succumbed to the controversies and spectacles of other states because we know better. We all want the same thing. We want a happy, healthy, and prosperous state, and we are working together in good faith to get there. Since the pandemic began, we have stood a public health effort up unequaled in modern history. Earlier this year, I asked leaders to join the Accelerate SC Task Force to quickly coordinate our state's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, to make recommendations on how to keep our businesses open and our people safe in the workplace and in the classroom. They also provided recommendations on how best to employ Federal CARES Act funds to accelerate our economy out of the pandemic. Leaders from the manufacturing, tourism, hospitality, and service sectors, professional associations, public health experts, local governments, K-12 and higher education institutions, hospitals, medical providers, legislators, and state agencies worked tirelessly and literally around the clock to quickly create and deliver a set of recommendations that, to this day, serve as our blueprint for confronting this crisis safely. Working together by collaborating, communicating, and cooperating, the General Assembly adopted virtually every recommendation of the Accelerate SC Task Force. Among other things, we planned and invested in building out our state's broadband infrastructure, distributing 92,542 Wi-Fi hotspots so students without internet access could receive instruction at home. We provided financial relief through grants for small businesses, especially those in the hospitality and service industry, which were devastated by the loss of customers and revenue. We replenished the state's unemployment trust fund with close to $1 billion from the CARES Act, thereby saving employers and small businesses from a crippling tax increase to replenish the fund. And while they could not be with us tonight, I ask you to join me in thanking the members of Accelerate SC for their volunteer service, sacrifice, vision, and leadership. Their contributions have accelerated South Carolina through the pandemic stronger and laid the groundwork for a more prosperous future. During the peak of the pandemic, the unemployment crisis was severe. During the worst week of the Great Recession in 2008 and 2009, we saw nearly 14,000 initial job claims filed, 14,000. During the worst week of the pandemic, we saw more than 87,000 such claims filed. In April, our unemployment rate was 12.4%, but today, it's 4.4%, the lowest in the Southeast and the 7th lowest unemployment rate in the nation. After losing nearly 300,000 jobs through April, South Carolina has regained a total of 220,000 jobs, an 81.3% gain, vastly exceeding the country's job gains of 55%. Our people are getting back to work, thanks to the General Assembly and Accelerate SC, and thanks to the strength of all of our South Carolinians. Political leaders in many states have gone too far. They've infringed on the Constitution and trampled personal freedoms. In Los Angeles, they set up a hotline for neighbors to inform on neighbors for gathering together. In Chicago, they told people to cancel Thanksgiving. In New York, they tried to ban citizens from attending church. In San Francisco, police were forced to stop a wedding before the couple could say, "I do." We took a road less traveled, a better road. We slowed down, but safely remained open. We never closed. Our reasonable steps of limited, measured, and temporary actions allowed us to combat the virus without crippling our economy. By freezing new spending and holding state governments steady at last year's spending levels, we've been able to avoid cutting services, raising taxes, or borrowing money. Today, South Carolina is in a stronger financial position than virtually every state in the country. That's because we were thinking ahead. Now, we must continue to think ahead. In reviewing the fiscal health of state government during the pandemic, one national news source said, and I quote, "South Carolina's exceptionally strong economy over the last 2 fiscal years has allowed the state to weather the pandemic with little budget disruptions to date," end of quote. Many other states are in deep trouble. New Jersey has taken on $5.3 billion in debt to balance its budget. Massachusetts took on an additional $1.4 billion, adding to an $80.9 billion budget shortfall. In Georgia, they had to cut education funding by $1 billion. In the last 3 years, the Palmetto State added $10 billion in new capital investment, bringing with that 35,000 brand new jobs. Over the course of a decade, our economy had grown faster than all but 7 other states in the country. In 2020, the pandemic may have slowed us down, but not by much. For example, this year we have announced some of the most transformative and important economic development project investments and expansions in the nation. For example, Boeing announced that it would consolidate all 787 Dreamliner production to its North Charleston facility and bring hundreds of millions of dollars of investment and capital from Seattle. Walmart announced plans to build a 3 million square foot distribution center in Ridgeville, creating 1,000 jobs and investing $220 million. A state-of-the-art $314 million agriculture technology campus will create more than 1,500 new jobs in Hampton County, an investment that will transform the rural southern lowcountry forever. Mark Anthony Brewing will build a new state-of-the-art brewery and production facility in Richland County. This $400 million investment will create 300 jobs and will be one of the largest breweries built in the country in over 25 years. Darlington Raceway was awarded a second NASCAR race to be held on Mother's Day, bringing an additional $64 million in economic impact to the PD and the state. Leisure Pools and Spas North America, a leading fiberglass in-ground pool manufacturer, announced plans to make a $6.1 million investment that will create 200 jobs in Marion County. The Port of Charleston has long been a powerful growing economic engine for South Carolina and is the nation's 9th busiest container port. It will soon be the deepest port on the Atlantic coast. Construction will soon be completed on its world-class intermodal container transfer facility in North Charleston. Once completed, cargo business will skyrocket, and new and expanding rail access, traffic congestion will be eased in the Lowcountry, and new jobs and investment will flow across our state. Nephron Pharmaceuticals Corporation announced hundreds of millions of dollars in new investment in pharmaceutical and medical supply manufacturing as a global leader in the fight against COVID-19. And this is just the beginning. South Carolina is truly open for business. Last week, as you know, I released my executive budget, which will provide South Carolina with the skilled workforce needed to compete for future jobs and investment. I am proposing that the General Assembly allocate $500 million, which is 38 cents of every new dollar, into our state's rainy day reserve fund. We must be prepared for any future economic uncertainties should they arrive. If approved, the balance of South Carolina's rainy day accounts will be almost twice what they were last year, going from $616 million to $1,142 million. By saving this money instead of spending it, something that has served our state well this year, South Carolina will be prepared for any eventuality and a whole lot of rain. We're also setting aside the $525 million recently received from the Savannah River site settlement with the federal government. These funds should be handled in a standalone bill which will allow for thoughtful consideration and appropriate public scrutiny. This will ensure that the residents of Aiken, Barnwell, and the surrounding counties are given priority in how the funds are spent. Our small businesses, especially those in the hospitality and service industry, have borne the brunt of the pandemic's financial impact. We've already directed over $40 million in CARES Act funds to provide relief to more than 2,000 small businesses. But the request for relief greatly exceeded the available CARES Act funds, so we must do more. According to recent data, one in four small business owners report that they will have to close their doors in the next 6 months if the current economic conditions don't improve. Accordingly, to provide small businesses with additional relief, my executive budget allocates an additional $123 million in state funds for small business grants administered by the Department of Commerce in the same manner as the CARES Act funds. Our Department of Commerce has demonstrated through this pandemic that they are a forceful advocate and resource for small businesses. And as we know, small business owners and entrepreneurs are our state's top job creators. We should enhance the department's mission to help our small businessmen grow, expand, and flourish. Another way we can help our small businesses is by providing them common sense protection from unfounded pandemic-related liability. Currently, 32 states have adopted some degree of COVID-19 liability protection already. The pandemic and the various governmental and private sector responses to it are likely to present novel questions of law and fact. Our businesses, our healthcare providers, educational institutions should not be put at risk or a competitive disadvantage through no fault of their own, particularly after following safety protocols. We should be careful not to let litigation kill what the pandemic could not. Reducing the tax burden on people and businesses continues to be one of the most important ways South Carolina can lay a foundation for future growth. South Carolina's marginal tax rate of 7% is the highest in the Southeast and the 11th highest in the nation. We must take steps to make our state more competitive. I propose that we cut our state's personal income taxes through a phased-in 5-year, 15% across-the-board tax reduction for all personal income brackets, keeping us competitive with the neighboring states. This cut was not included in this executive budget because of this contingency. It pauses if in any year our state's general fund revenue growth is less than 5%. However, we should not pause in enacting it. The next generation's workforce must possess the education and skills necessary for South Carolina to compete for jobs and capital in the world's economy. Today marks the beginning of a rare opportunity for transformation. We know to change the path of a child's future, to enhance the prosperity of our economy, to maximize the successes of our state, we must make sure that every student is ready to learn when he or she enters the classroom. In 2006, the General Assembly funded full-day 4-year-old kindergarten programs for Medicaid-eligible children in public schools and private child care centers. Currently, 61 school districts are eligible to participate, and 18 districts are not. That leaves 13,000 lower-income, at-risk children in 18 urban and suburban school districts without the option to attend full-day 4-year-old kindergarten. Recently, I directed $7 million in CARES Act funds for expanding public and private day or summer programs for children eligible for the full-day 4K program. Once again, I'm proposing that we unleash the free market and invest $48 million to expand access to full-day kindergarten for every lower-income 4-year-old child in our state. This expansion will allow parents to choose the public, private, or profit child care provider that best suits their children's education needs. Also, I'm setting aside $13 million in lottery proceeds for the General Assembly to establish education scholarship accounts. These accounts provide the opportunity for working or low-income parents to choose the type of education environment and instruction that best suits their child's unique needs. In last year's state budget, I proposed a $3,000 across-the-board pay raise for each of our public school teachers, a raise that would have catapulted the Palmetto State into the top 25 ranking of states for average teacher pay for the first time ever. The pandemic has delayed that raise, but not my commitment. So in the meantime, I'm proposing an appropriation of $35 million to maintain the state's financial commitment to funding our classrooms, and I'm lifting the current suspension of teacher step salary increases. This will allow school districts to resume all scheduled step salary increases for our teachers. Our public charter schools have seen an unprecedented 25% increase in student enrollment as parents seek in-person 5-day-a-week instruction for their children. This is parents and the free market at work. State dollars must follow these students to their new public schools, and my budget sends $25 million to do just that. We know that parents in South Carolina must be confident that their children are safe and secure when they're at school. Our concerns are highlighted due to months of unpredictable instruction, isolation, and disruption of normal routines. This year, my budget provides the necessary funding to put a certified law enforcement school resource officer in every school, in every county, all day, every day. It also provides a school nurse in every school in the state, as well as gives every student access to a mental health counselor. And did you know that we still have a multitude of outdated Common Core textbooks being used in our classrooms years after the General Assembly mandated their removal? This year, like years past, I am proposing the funding necessary for the Department of Education to once and for all replace these books. This pandemic has demonstrated that broadband connectivity is a necessity for health care, education, and remote access to the workplace. I am proposing that $30 million be provided to the Office of Regulatory Staff to continue critical expansion of broadband through public and private matches for shovel-ready infrastructure projects. In the early days of the pandemic, we lost contact with more than 10,000 students when the schools closed. 10,000 students when the schools closed. Department of Social Services launched a massive effort and was able to identify and locate almost all of them. Reports of child abuse and neglect dropped nearly 50% from the previous year, but we know the abuse didn't stop. It just went unreported because the children were not in the classroom. Recently, I directed almost $5 million in CARES Act funds to provide instructional materials, tutoring, and technology advancements for approximately 600 foster care children and disabled youth in our 74 group homes. Such data and needs vividly illustrate our challenges. But the fact remains that a generation of students have lost significant learning progress due to simply being out of the classroom. Working parents should not have to choose between their jobs and their children. They must have the option of having their children in school 5 days a week if they so choose. That is why they pay taxes. This year, school districts in our state have received over $1.2 billion in COVID-related relief from the federal government. The Department of Administration has distributed $10 million in masks and PPE to 70 public school districts around the state. DHEC has provided every public school district access to rapid antigen tests for use by students and school staff. These tests will give students, teachers, and faculty members another layer of defense against the virus. Along with state funds, school districts have been provided the resources necessary to operate full-time and teach in person 5 days a week. I asked the General Assembly to quickly send to my desk legislation for my signature that will require unwilling school districts to reopen their classrooms. Access and affordability to higher education for every South Carolinian are essential to ensuring that we have the trained and skilled workforce necessary to compete for jobs and investment in the future. That means we must invest to make all of higher education, that is our colleges, universities, and technical colleges, accessible and affordable for the sons and daughters of South Carolina. Therefore, I propose providing $60 million so that every South Carolinian who qualifies for federal needs-based financial aid as measured by the federal Pell Grants has additional state financial assistance to attend any in-state public college, university, or technical college. Students at private, independent, and historically black colleges and universities will receive an additional $20 million for tuition grants and assistance. Our technical colleges can provide retraining programs for South Carolinians negatively affected by the virus, which prepares them for employment in high-demand fields. Recently, I directed $8 million in CARES Act funds to provide job training for 3,100 adults who've lost their jobs due to the virus. To build on that, I propose an additional $60 million for high-demand job skill training to help prospective manufacturers locating in our state, and an additional $37 million for workforce scholarships and grants so that more South Carolinians can receive skill-based certificates and accreditation at our state's technical college. And this year I'm proposing that we invest lottery proceeds to create scholarships for students with intellectual disabilities as they transition from high school into college and eventually into the workforce. These academic programs at Clemson, Coastal Carolina, College of Charleston, USC, and Winthrop teach students how to learn independently, how to maintain employment, and how to live self-sufficiently. And for the second year in a row, I ask that the state pay 100% of college tuition for every active duty member of the South Carolina Army or Air National Guard. These citizen soldiers and airmen put their careers and families on hold to confront threats to us, both here and abroad. Such remarkable service must be recognized and encouraged. Older buildings on our college, university, and technical college campuses are in dire need of repair, replacement, and renovation. We must pay down the state's deferred maintenance liability on them by using the Capital Reserve Fund, with the funds being distributed pro rata to each institution based on their fall 2020 in-state enrollment. Let's act now while we can, rather than borrowing money and creating debt through a bond bill. Finally, I believe events and trends of the last year indicate that many in our nation may need a remedial course in history, properly and accurately contextualized for modern understanding and not revised, erased, or fictionalized. State law already requires students to be taught the U.S. Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and the Federalist Papers prior to graduating from our colleges and universities. A few schools offer the classes, but most don't. College students need this class now more than ever. And ladies and gentlemen, the right to life is the most precious of the rights and the most fragile. We must never let it be taken for granted. For the fourth year in a row, my budget includes a proviso preventing the funneling of taxpayer dollars to abortion providers like Planned Parenthood. And let this be the year that we further protect the sanctity of life. With the heartbeat bill, it's time to vote. Send me the heartbeat bill, and I will immediately sign it into law. To keep all South Carolinians safe, we must maintain a robust, highly trained law enforcement presence and properly fund the police. Our state law enforcement agencies continue to lose valuable and experienced personnel, officers who willingly put their lives in danger every day because of non-competitive pay and benefits. And the lack of funding for continued and routine education and training jeopardizes not only their safety, but also the lives of the citizens they serve. This budget dedicates over $13 million in new dollars to law enforcement, public safety, and first response agencies for recruitment and retention. This includes pay raises for troopers, state law enforcement division agents, wildlife officers, probation agencies, and correction officers. It also eliminates the income gap for our police officer retirement system so that retired law enforcement officers can return to duty. And we are providing funds for valuable post-traumatic stress disorder treatment for officers, firefighters, and their families. And once again, in addition, I call on the General Assembly once again to eliminate all state income taxes on the retirement pay of career military veterans and first responders, as well as retired state and federal law enforcement officers, firefighters, and peace officers. Many states have already done this. The decision makers at the Department of Defense take note of such actions, or lack of them, as they weigh decisions on base closures, realignment, and new missions for America's military. Our state's military installations are at risk, like all others. It is past time for the General Assembly to act on this issue. The Department of Corrections. The Department of Corrections has been unable to carry out the death penalty by legal injection since 2015. It's now 2021. Because the companies which make the drugs will not sell them unless their identities are shielded by state law from anti-death penalty activists. We have no means to carry out a death penalty in South Carolina. None. And the murderers know it. 14 states have enacted such a shield law. Director Brian Sterling and I have been asking the General Assembly to fix this for years. Legislation was almost approved on the final day last year. I asked the General Assembly, fix this. Give these grieving families and loved ones the justice and closure they are owed by the law. Give it to them. This year, 2021, is a good year for reform in state government. We must always look for ways to be more efficient, transparent, and accountable for how business is conducted and how taxpayer dollars are spent. Maintaining the public's confidence depends on it. We've heard the alarm bell for years. Now the deadline is closing in for reform of our state pension system. The best answer is a date-certain transition away from defined benefit pension plans to defined contribution plans for new state employees. Of course, we must maintain our commitment to the 11.5% of South Carolinians who rely on the state retirement systems. Accordingly, my budget reinstates and funds the annual 1% employer contribution increase. So, once again, I'm asking that we, at the end of this year, close enrollment in the current defined benefit plan. Putting money into an open system is like trying to fill a bathtub with the drain open. We must close enrollment first. And ladies and gentlemen, there's no state agency in more need of reform or dissolution than Santee Cooper. This rogue agency and its leadership have displayed arrogance and contempt for the state law and the truth. Their incompetence helped create the largest nuclear power fiasco in modern times. They have saddled their customers with billions of dollars in debt and have ignored the authority of our constitutional officers and this General Assembly, creating a toxic environment inside this State House. Errant board members are shielded by laws governing appointment and removal that are so cumbersome, onerous, litigious, and politically designed years ago to discourage and prevent a governor from acting, that these members are immune from discipline or accountability. The time has long passed for the resolution of Santee Cooper's fate. The Department of Health and Environmental Control needs attention. It is a massive agency with thousands of talented, experienced employees, but two different and equally complex missions: health and environment. A jack of all trades is the master of none. The pandemic, against the backdrop of our expanding economy, has highlighted the agency's need to move and act in a more nimble and responsive fashion. I believe it should be split. I ask the General Assembly to consider such restructuring after conducting vigorous analysis. But at a minimum, the department should be made directly accountable to the governor, and the governor directly accountable to the people for the agency's performance as a cabinet agency. This year, I was honored to sign legislation creating a third governor's school, the Governor's School for Agriculture at John Della Howe. To provide additional transparency and financial accountability, my executive budget restructured how the General Assembly funds the Governor's School for Science and Mathematics and the Governor's School for Arts and Humanities in the same manner as we did for the John Della Howe. South Carolina has over 300 magistrate judges who hear thousands of cases every year. A South Carolinian is more likely to see a magistrate judge than any other type of judge in our judicial system. And as has been detailed in the media, these judges receive little public scrutiny before they are confirmed, receive limited legal training, and are not required to be lawyers in good standing with the bar. The first step in reform is transparency and accountability. Magistrate judges must be required to be attorneys in good standing and certified by the bar to practice law. Second, they should be publicly screened in hearings similar to those used for circuit and family court judges. And each member of the Senate should vote on the record on each magistrate's confirmation. For further accountability, we must strengthen the statutory definition on what constitutes lobbying when it comes to influencing or communicating with state agencies on decisions, procurement, or actions taken by the agency or its employees. Also, we must have stronger and expanded authority for the State Ethics Commission on the local level. Anyone who's paid to influence decisions made by county, municipal, or school board officials must be required to publicly register with the State Ethics Commission as a lobbyist, just like persons who lobby the legislature. And this year, I'm again encouraging the General Assembly to end the practice of appropriating undisclosed pork barrel earmarks in the budget, which are shielded from public view and scrutiny. There's a better way for the taxpayers. It's time that such appropriations be publicly disclosed, debated, and allowed to stand on their own merits. My executive budget creates a public competitive grants process. Funds will only be made available to entities with demonstrated community support and missions which advance the agency's underlying objectives. Further, all applications and awards will be placed online, allowing the public scrutiny and total transparency. And in addition, ladies and gentlemen, with respect, I suggest that it is time for members of the General Assembly who are attorneys to stop suing the bodies in which they serve, stop suing state agencies in plaintiffs' actions, and stop suing elected officials. This practice diminishes the public's confidence in their elected representatives and in their state government. It should come to an end. Some people have expressed legal concerns about successive states of emergency during the COVID-19 crisis. I understand. It was likely never contemplated in the past that our state and the whole country would find itself in the need of a long-term state of emergency like this pandemic has required. It was also likely never contemplated that a future General Assembly would be unable to meet and conduct business for such a long period of time. I believe that the legislation being offered now by Senators Chip Campson and Tom Davis in the Senate and Speaker Jay Lucas and Representatives Jay Jordan and Jeff Johnson in the House strike the right checks and balances for both the executive and legislative branches, and I offer my support of their proposals. In closing, we all know this has been a tumultuous year with shocking and disturbing displays of violence, lawlessness, anger, and rage all across the country. We have recently witnessed the shocking and desecration, sad desecration, in our beloved capital in Washington. The voices and volume have become so loud that many Americans are not listening to each other anymore. But this too shall pass. It will pass. I'm reminded of a thought that I shared with you at my inauguration 2 years ago. I think it's more appropriate now than it was then. We are not competitors. We are all on the same team, a team with different jerseys, representing different ideas, philosophies, perspectives, and experiences, but a team nonetheless, committed to doing what we think is best for the future prosperity, success, health, and happiness of over 5 million South Carolinians. South Carolina is not a building, it's not a monument, it's not a flag, or it's not a word on paper. South Carolina is her people, and it's been that way for over 300 years. As most of you know, I love South Carolina, say so often. I always like to urge people, especially the young people, to be proud of their state. And through our deeds and actions and our words, we should strive to make them proud of us too. I see before us the brightest of futures, but we must think big, ladies and gentlemen, with good conscience as our only reward, and knowing even small deeds are better than the greatest unfulfilled intentions. We must have confidence and be bold. We will do things we've not done before, and we will succeed. May God bless you, the great state of South Carolina, and the great United States of America. Thank you and good evening. Thank you.
Governor McMaster concluding there the State of the State. Here now, Richland County Senator Mia McLeod with the Democratic response to the governor's State of the State address tonight.
Good evening, my fellow South Carolinians. I'm Senator Mia McLeod. COVID-19 has infected at least 350,000 South Carolinians and killed 6,000 of our moms, dads, brothers, sisters, and grandparents. According to a recent White House report, Greenville ranks #1 in the nation for mid-sized cities, and Spartanburg ranks 9th. This virus is wreaking havoc across South Carolina, and Governor McMaster has yet to even articulate a plan to address it. The Department of Health and Environmental Control, the agency we call DHEC, is responsible for South Carolina's response to COVID-19, including vaccine rollout and distribution. Let's be clear. Our governor appoints DHEC's chairman and governing board. After attempting to manipulate agency scientists, Governor McMaster and his administration have created unnecessary turmoil and turnover. Now, they're playing the blame game. So it's not surprising that our state's vaccine rollout has been abysmal, or that Republicans and Democrats are equally critical of his ability to lead and protect the people of this state. And with new cases topping 34% positive rates, South Carolina has only been able to administer about 1/3 of the vaccines that our state has received. This colossal failure belongs to our CEO, Governor Henry McMaster. Democrats across South Carolina are grateful for our women and men who are on the front lines, working day and night to save lives and keep essential services going. And we mourn with and pray for those who have already lost loved ones to this deadly virus. It doesn't have to be this way. With all due respect, Governor, because you failed to lead us, the current state of our state is bleak. As a single mom, small business owner, and someone who knows all too well the struggles of a pre-existing condition like sickle cell anemia, I understand the gravity of the challenges we're facing and the courage, empathy, and compassion that true leadership demands in this unprecedented moment. How can you tout a strong economy, Governor, when over 810,000 struggling South Carolinians have already filed for unemployment? Many are still trying to access pandemic assistance that will help them cover basic living expenses like food, medicines, mortgage payments, and rent. Who says we can't be pro-business and pro-people? The two aren't mutually exclusive. If you and your fellow Republican leaders had simply taken this virus seriously months ago by issuing a temporary statewide mask mandate and brief stay-at-home order, if you had listened to our public health experts and armed us with the truth instead of divisive, partisan rhetoric, South Carolina could well be on her way towards getting us back to work, school, and life safely. Instead, Governor, you told us everything was fine, doubled down on the rollbacks and the rhetoric, and politicized mask wearing. Just last week, as record high cases continued to surge, you insisted that our schools open 5 days a week for in-person instruction. As doctors warned about a second, more deadly wave, you said, "Come on in, we're open," boasting that the business of South Carolina is business and proving that politics and profits truly do trump the health and safety of our people. When Hurricane Hugo devastated South Carolina's economy, our elected leaders used every government resource available to rebuild our state. Shouldn't we be doing that now, during a global pandemic? Why can't we use the state's reserve funds to help keep small businesses afloat? Why haven't we raised our minimum wage like over 20 other states have done this year? Why don't we create tax incentives for companies that provide vaccines and other pandemic benefits to employees? Why aren't we partnering with our county health departments to help vaccinate our most vulnerable citizens? And why aren't we joining 39 other Democrat and Republican-controlled states that have expanded Medicaid to ease overcrowded emergency rooms and ICUs and bring medical facilities and personnel into poor counties and underserved communities? Now, more than ever, we must work together to put this virus behind us so that we can focus on other important issues like education, racial justice, health care, living wages, broadband, public utilities, infrastructure, clean air and water, green jobs, and other systemic reforms that deserve our attention. COVID-19 is killing us right now. That's where our focus is and where yours should be. Truth is, our economy can't recover until we do. And without leadership, this virus will continue to wreak havoc, shutting down our lives and livelihoods for the foreseeable future. Protecting life in the womb has become the politically expedient mantra of South Carolina Republicans. In fact, you and other Republican leaders have made a divisive, unconstitutional bill your #1 priority again this session, instead of focusing on protecting the 5 million living, breathing human beings who are already here. Governor, no matter how much worse it gets, you've said you won't do anything different. We need a plan that includes a statewide mask mandate, moratorium on evictions and foreclosures, and clear safety guidelines for our schools, businesses, and employees. Where are those federal relief dollars you promised? Where are the vaccines for our essential workers and most vulnerable populations? We deserve a leader who doesn't play political games, like trying to send $32 million to private schools when our public schools and teachers are struggling. Governor, who's going to help us rebuild a post-pandemic economy if you can't even get us safely through this first wave? Our state motto is, while I breathe, I hope. But we can't breathe while COVID-19 and systemic racism continue to kill more Black and brown South Carolinians than ever. And it's hard to have hope when communities of color don't have equal access to quality medical care and are last on the list to be vaccinated. You can change that, Governor, by putting all of the people of South Carolina first, because our state can't be open for business until COVID-19 is out of business.
State Senator Mia McLeod with the Democratic response, and we thank you for joining us for Governor Henry McMaster's State of the State address. We return you now to regular scheduled programming, and we'll see you again at 11 o'clock. Good night.